I just felt the book as it went along undermined the case of the book, which is that, and I'll put this, that the plot was there. No one doubts it was crazy. No one doubts that he was evil and wicked.
Yeah.
But it's led by a president who's off his rocker, who can only really win support from a group of complete nutters and fringe lunatics, all of whom have disappeared down some alleyway of addiction or mental illness, it seems.
Yeah.
These people are seriously mentally ill, as I believe the president is as well, which is why he got along with them. Mm-hmm. Or you could say a bunch of very weird people who had no idea really about the world, including John Eastman. This memo is absurd. So why do we take this so seriously?
Well, I'll tell you. Here's one reason we take it seriously, because there is one of the things that these people were doing, because they were flooding the zone with on social media with all of these crazy conspiracy theories, riling people up, which I think directly led to the torrent, just the flood of threats that were coming in to office holders, to their families, to poll workers. Everyone knows the story, I think, of Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shaye Moss.
Well, we don't own it. Let's remind people. This is an important factor. If this stuff was ginned up to create increase the volume of violent threats to elected officials, you clearly do have a conspiracy to pressure public officials to do the wrong thing.
And some of that is indicted in the Georgia case. I mean, the people who went after Ruby Freeman and her daughter are indicted in this case. Ruby Freeman, the 63-year-old grandmother who volunteers as a poll worker every election. Her daughter is actually an election administrator, and they happened to be and they were in the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, where ballot counting was going on, and the Trump people get a hold of a video, and they make absolutely absurd, unhinged claims about this video, that it shows ballot stuffing. They're taking suitcases out from under the table. And totally investigated by the FBI, by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Zero there. And
there was a weird series of events that made it look weird, but they were completely explanatory in retrospect. They also edited it in ways that made it look as bad as it could possibly be.
But the point is,
I'm just pointing out. But the point yourself in the book say, yeah, it was a weird fucking night. Lots of weird stuff happened.
But the point, Andrew, is that weeks after they knew that it was bullshit, they continued And so they put targets on the backs of these women. By the way, black women. You mentioned before that there was a racial dimension to this story, and there certainly is. Donald Trump was targeting urban areas with large black populations: Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Fulton County. And when they talked, when Giuliani talked about Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss, the racial dog whistles were unmistakable. They're acting like drug dealers, passing around as if they're passing around vials of cocaine and heroin, when actually they pass a ginger mint to each other.
Yeah, that was actually one LOL moment
in
this thing.
Yeah. But look,
they were talking about whether this woman was passing to another woman some kind of illicit drug, and it was a ginger mint. But we know that in retrospect. But that to me sums up the whole thing.
Yeah.
But look what happened to these women. Ruby Freeman, at the urging of the FBI, had to go into hiding for 2 months. Her daughter had to change her appearance, and those are the most prominent examples. But this is pervasive, and it's not just the principals. It is their it is their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, their brothers, their daughters. It is they were creating a climate of fear. And by the way, this had real consequences. It has been much harder in Georgia and elsewhere to get people to do this work, this important civic work of making sure that these elections run efficiently and that people have access to the vote.
Let me just add a couple of other points here that are worth noting, which is Trump was obsessed with this stuff. In the phone call to Brad Raffensperger, which we're going to get to, which we obviously write a lot about, Trump mentions Ruby Freeman 18 times. He's continually bringing it up.